Turning our attention back to the Miller hearing of the Oxford High School shooter, we heard emotional testimony today in court, including from two students.
That's right, and our Andres Gutierrez has been listening to that hearing all day. He joins us from outside of the courtroom in Pontiac with the latest. Andres?
Well, Terrence, when court resumes on Tuesday morning, the defense will be making their case as to why the shooter doesn't deserve to die in prison. Earlier today, the prosecutor brought forth more victims who were there at Oxford High School the day that the gunfire broke out. Heidi Allen testified about how she helped save a wounded girl. She remembers seeing the shooter walk out of the bathroom with a gun and recognizing him from middle school. Allen immediately took cover when he started shooting. Although she wasn't shot, she did see others hurt. We also heard from Keegan Gregory, who was in the bathroom with 17-year-old Justin Schilling when the shooter walked in and fired his gun at Schilling. You'll hear from him in a moment, but we want to warn you this testimony is hard to listen to.
What did that hallway look like?
It was chaos. There was someone trying to be resuscitated, and whoever was helping her was just yelling at her, like, come on, you get this and stuff, trying to just get her to respond.
Do you remember where that blood was in relation to his body?
Around his head.
Okay. And the shooter tells you to do what?
Kind of signals me to go over by his body.
And what did you do?
When he moved the gun away from his side, kind of, I ran behind his back and out the door.
Okay. Why did you do that?
Because I think when I saw his body, I realized that if I stayed, I was going to die.
Now, so far, the defense has called on experts to back their claims the shooter had mental health issues that were never addressed and believe that he can be rehabilitated in prison and eventually go in front of a parole board. For now, they will resume the case here on Tuesday morning at 8:30. We'll, of course, be here for you guys. Reporting live in Pontiac, Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Detroit.
All right, Andres, thank you so much for that live report. And we have been joined all day by defense attorneys Terry Johnson and Lillian Diallo to break down what we've been seeing as this continues throughout the day. It has been an intense 2 days.
It has.
Absolutely, it has, right? So I have my little cheat sheet for the 5 Miller factors right here that I put on my little laptop, my iPad. 1 goes to defense. 2 goes to defense. 3 may cut against defense and goes to prosecution. 4 goes to prosecution. 5, defense.
And just recap exactly what those are.
So the first factor is the chronological age and hallmark features, immaturity, impetuosity, those kind of things, right? Goes to defense, right? Remember, it's just sentencing, right? Miller hearing, what will the sentence be? 2, the defendant's family and home environment goes to the defense. 3, the circumstances of the homicide offense, including the extent of the defendant's participation in the conduct and the way familial and peer pressures may have affected the defendant. That's kind of wishy-washy, but I think it goes to the prosecution because I was waffling. And remember, I was against it at the beginning of this hearing. Number 4, whether the defendant might have been charged and convicted of a lesser offense if not for the incompetencies associated with youth. That goes to prosecution, right? 5, the defendant's possibility of rehabilitation. It goes to defense.
Do you agree with these assessments, Terry?
I do agree. I mean, again, it comes down, as we've discussed earlier, to the weight of these. So it's not just 3 out of 5 that the defendant is going to get, or we believe he's going to get, and it should go this way. If, the one that bothers me the most is he was so meticulous in planning this crime. I mean, we've talked about the tale of 2 individuals, and I think as careful and as calculating and as cold as he was, that's really going to cut against him, and I think that may weigh more than the other factors. But I do agree with with Lillian here on where they should go. But the weight That's going to come down to what Judge Rowe is going to decide to do.
Yeah, and you've both agreed that the Miller hearing did what it was supposed to do. It allowed us to see the human side of him and that child. But like you said, it also shows us the evil intent and the planning and the desire to inflict pain on these families. Do you think the weight of that will be tarnishing for him moving forward?
That's number 3. I told you that goes to the prosecution side, right? Could the familial, could anything else have staved that off and helped, right? He's medicated now, right? His affect is different now. Would it have been the same thing then? I don't know, right? But I do know this. Number 3 goes to the prosecution, right? And it's the way it was done and the meticulousness. And think about this. He must have been alone for a very long time to have these uninterrupted thoughts as he had. You're talking about a manifesto in a house where you're supposed to have some parents. I wish I might walk anywhere in my house and hear something like that. Excuse me, what we doing in here? That's what parents do, and that's what he didn't have. I am not excusing his crime, because I cannot excuse it. I was 100% just angry and against it because it's a senseless loss of life. But if one thing could have deterred him, we don't know right now, because he didn't get that opportunity.
That's right. Well, you both have invested a lot of time in helping us navigate this situation using your legal expertise so that we can process and figure out what we're seeing. We thank you both for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.